Hello and welcome to the Cash Rules podcast. My name is Keith Smith and I'm here with my co-host. He's the head researcher, educational program development specialist,
Fabyan Rodan. Hey everyone, welcome.
And we are here with our special guest, Rukiya Kelly. I want to start off by making sure that we are all aware that none of what we are discussing today should be taken as legal, financial, and or tax advice. Instead, the objective of our conversation today is to highlight the unspoken rules in finance, discuss why these concepts so often go unspoken, and what we can be doing on a practical level to change that reality in our communities in an informational, educational capacity. With that said, Fabyan, how you doing, man?
I feel blessed and highly favored. How you doing?
Incredible.
Oh man, I feel like I just won the lottery for some reason. It's just that feeling in the air. I keep saying it today. It's just real great. Because honestly, we have a special guest here, Rukiya Kelly. VP, marketing strategist, financial literacy advocate, change agent, social equity advocate. Oh my God, if you look at the resume, it keeps going and going. Oh, this is awesome. I'm so happy to just have you here and just have you talking to both of us and just educating ourselves as well as our viewers. Welcome.
Thank you. You got me feeling like I won the lottery. You rolled down my whole transcript. I feel great. Thank you.
Just a spotlight. Too much of great work you've done in the past that I think it just doesn't do you justice to write it down. You just got to be along with the journey. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to pass it back to Keith. Let's start it up, bro.
Yeah. So Rukiya, thanks again. Obviously, I want to just kind of give us a second to take in exactly who you are, what you're up to on a day-to-day basis, and maybe tell us a little bit about your history and where you're based.
Yeah, so Rukiya Kelly, I am from Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a native Charlottean, which is really rare as we are one of the number one or the second largest banking center in the US. So we have a lot of transplants here. But I'm from Charlotte. I am a marketing product manager for Big Bank here, managing the go-to-market strategy for financial health tools. And then I also have a strong passion for financial literacy and understanding money mindsets and healing financial traumas. I have a 4-year-old son and I enjoy volunteering, traveling, self-improvements, cultural events here in Charlotte, and finding however I can actually buy Black is a fun pastime for me as well.
Very cool. And just to get a little bit deeper tell us a little bit about what your occupation is and where you're working. And you said you're in the banking center, the second largest banking center. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so I've been in finance for about 8 years now. Started off with Tia Craft before my current company, where I handled the digital marketing for credit card acquisition. And then I transitioned into affiliate marketing and leading the program, the credit card affiliate program within my organization. And I recently, it's going on about a year now, came into product marketing for financial health tools. So how do we create the marketing strategy to support the financial health tools and advice that we offer at my organization? And how do we support our customers in ensuring their financial wellness, providing them with educational tips and tools, and really making it a part of our strategy and how we work with the customer overall. So being in this city, most folks either work in finance, some type of startup, or a call center, right? Like we have millions of call centers here. So it's offered a lot of jobs here within the city, but there's still a huge gap when you think about salary and pay between those who work in banking and then those who may work in a call center or drive a bus or a teacher. And so that's definitely been challenging to for those who don't work in banking to be able to sustain a comfortable life here in Charlotte, unfortunately.
Heard, understood.
And just
And
to
so,
say it again, you do work for a top 5 bank in the United States, right? That's one thing
I
we will highlight
do.
there.
I do. I work for a very well-known bank here in Charlotte. So before that, I was with Tia Craft, and now I'm with this very well-known bank. Which once you check out my LinkedIn, you'll probably figure out what it is. But yeah.
I love it. I
very
love it.
true.
I mean, honestly, that's where your expertise is coming from, is that you actually are doing this work. You're not just reading and just helping people and then just also providing so much wealth of knowledge. As you said, you're volunteering. Oh, with so much you're doing, you have a child at home, you're volunteering, you're doing this work. I have to give it to you there. Good work.
Yeah. And let's hear a little bit about some of that volunteer work. Like, what exactly are you doing? What are people getting out of the amazing work that you're doing as well?
So I would say I work with Commonwealth Charlotte as a mentor with their program, in which they actually help their clients to heal their financial trauma. So those who have been homeless or have been lower income, to help them really understand money and understand their relationship with money and those subconscious habits that they've developed, how to help them heal those, and then begin to build out what they want their financial well-being to look like. And so we help them set up bank accounts. We help them to review their credit. And as a mentor, I help my mentees to develop what their legacy will look like. So does that mean purchasing a home? Does that mean starting a business? It's helping them to figure out what that is and then take the steps to achieve that goal. It's very fulfilling work, and I was actually doing it before I started working in financial health with the bank that I work for now. So I've done that. I also do junior achievement, which is educating children on financial literacy. And then I do a lot of like community work, so helping to build homes, revitalizing lower income areas, painting at schools, cleaning up trash. I love my city, so whatever I can do to help it continue to grow and look beautiful and help the native Charlotteans to live comfortable, I do that.
I will tell you, I have worked with junior achievement out here in New York, working with the education system. As you know, that's some of my background, and they do great work. Wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You said that you educate, do volunteering a lot of the time, right? Mentoring. Our viewers are somewhat of our viewers are here to learn, right? Just like we are. And one of the things we like to do is I ask our guests, the main question: what is money? How do you explain that to your mentees?
I explain money as a resource. It's a resource to your freedom. It's a resource to your comfort. I often hear folks say, like, money won't make you happy, and it doesn't. The actual money in your hand may not make you happy. However, being comfortable, knowing your bills are paid, knowing that you have food to eat, all of that takes some form of currency to provide it, and in which it creates peace and comfort for that person. And so, to me, money is a resource.
Makes a lot of sense. Oh, Fabian, looks like you're muted.
Sorry about that. And what do we mean by, and I know that the whole point of this is basically to be financially stable and everything, right? And I guess the next question would definitely be, what is financial health? Like, how do you picture that?
So I consider financial health to be a multidimensional assessment of your monetary well-being. So not only your credit, but also how much money do you have in the bank? What do you have saved? What do you need in order to feel comfortable day to day from a financial standpoint? Everyone doesn't have the dream of being some multimillionaire. Some folks just want to be able to go to work and ensure their bills are paid, and that if something were to happen, they know they can continue to be comfortable. And I think if that is your financial health, if that's what you consider to be financially healthy, then we should respect that. I don't think there is a cookie cutter financial wellness or health for anyone.
I'm glad you said that, because sometimes people give it such a numeric number all the time, like $1 million. Once that's there, I'm healthy, I'm financially healthy. And I love that you say that is based on the individual and where they are in life. And that's awesome. Keith?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on, you talked a little bit about, that $1 million, maybe that's somebody's target. And in a previous conversation, we talked a little bit about like the quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And for an individual, like, what are the types of questions maybe that you ask them to understand what their target should be? Or how do you define also this concept of the quality of life?
I always ask folks to start at the end, right? Like when it comes to how they want to feel. When I work with folks and I ask them, as they think about building out their budget, how do you want to feel? Like, what is that feeling once you've reached that goal? What does that feel like for you? For most folks, it's a sense of peace, it's happiness. And so I think when we think about quality of life, it's what do you consider to be healthy? What is your level of happiness and what is your peace? And healthy is not just physically healthy, mentally, financially. What does that look like? And then I think that defines your quality of life.
I have to say, well said. I love that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've already very briefly touched on this whole concept of the relationships that people have with money.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of a relationship are you seeing in a relationship with money? Are you seeing in the people that you're dealing with on a daily basis? And what sort of a relationship with money is ideal?
So I see the gamut when it comes to how folks see their relationship with money. For me, it really starts from what are their core beliefs about money. That's really going to drive their relationship. You can have a scarcity mindset where you feel, oh, once I have it, it's slipping through my fingers. You have those who save because they're scared to spend, which again is not healthy. And then you have those that see that money flows to them. And I think that's the mindset that I take on, is that abundance is mine. I will have overflow. Money will continue to flow to me because it's a resource that's available to me. And so I think it's all about what are their core beliefs, and then that really drives the relationship that they have with money. Ideally, folks will be at peace with money. They will understand that what they need to get to where they want to be, and forgive themselves for any times they've felt that they've fallen short when it comes to managing their money. So for me, it's a loving, it's an openness, it's an understanding of flow.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so when you're working with individuals one-on-one, like what are some real life examples of where you're seeing maybe some of the failed mindsets, and then like where are some of the epiphanies maybe that you're seeing people have around, okay, this is how I need to look at money moving forward?
I would say even for myself, right? All of this is a journey that I've been on my entire life. I grew up lower middle class, and it wasn't often because my parents didn't have the money. It was because they didn't know how to manage the money. And so I realized that I took on many of those beliefs subconsciously as I became an adult, and I was throwing a budget at myself and getting frustrated because I didn't have the discipline to manage against this budget. And I started counseling. I realized there are some deep-seated things that I needed to unlearn. And I was creating scarcity when it really didn't have to be there. And so I had to unlearn those subconscious beliefs that I developed through my childhood in order to understand that money was mine to have, and that it can flow, and that I can manage it, and that it was something that it was a resource to me. So for me, it's my own example of my own journey of learning how to manage my own money.
So what do you consider to be the importance of involving parents when teaching children about financial literacy?
Oh my gosh. gosh, it's so important, right? Like everything a child is learning right now, they're learning from their parents. We could teach them everything in school about how to manage their money, but if they go home and they see that their parents are living check to check, or that their parents have this unhealthy relationship with money, it doesn't matter what we teach them in school, they're still going to take some of that in at home, because they're spending more time with their parents than anything. And so I think it's important that as we do these programs, junior achievement, anywhere where we're involving and teaching children, that we're sending something home, or we're inviting parents to come and learn what their children are learning. And it doesn't mean that they have to sit in the same class as their child, but they should understand what their children are learning, and hopefully it will transfer to them. I think we hold a responsibility to teach up and down. I teach my son, but I also teach my parents. Right? Like we have sit down conversations about managing credit, right, and managing your money, and having a will within our family meetings with my parents, as well as my siblings, as well as my son. So I think it's a responsibility to definitely educate the parents too.
I love that, because honestly, it gets kind of hard from, I think, anybody's educated standpoint, when you sit there and it's like you're teaching them one thing, and then when they go to their main source of living, it's a whole different teaching. And then it's just kind of, when you come back to me, you were at 100 when you left me, but now you're back at 25%. Now I got to get you right back again. And it's continuous repetitive actions of even playing. There's a game I kind of have my students play a little bit here and there, where you take a circular, and I'm giving you like $20, right? And I'm like, buy whatever you want for $20, or I'm telling you, I want to make a meal or some sort, right? And you have $20 to make a meal out of all this, out of the prices of the circular. What can you get? And it's awesome. I mean, that's where it starts off, is from home, using home economics, home stuff. Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely.
Keith, do you want to ask a question real quick?
Not yet. Go ahead.
No problem. I wanted to just go into so what does it mean to make money work for you then, if that's the case? Like, how do you pass that on to not only to your mentor, your mentees, or parents, or anybody that you're talking to, family, even your son, as you stated?
Yeah. I mean, you have to recognize, I think as you go about your financial journey, you'll realize that often if your money is sitting in a bank account, it's not really doing anything for you, right? Like it's benefiting the bank, but it's not really benefiting you. So if you start small, I tell my parents, I tell anyone, get a high yield savings if you want to put your money somewhere. Don't have it sitting in a regular checking account. You're not going to get anything back from it. I do encourage, we have, Robinhood, and we have these apps where Cash App, where you can invest into stock in partial stock versus having to buy it fully, and start seeing that money make you money. And I think as you mature in your financial journey, you'll realize debt is not as horrible as people make it out to be, and that you find ways to leverage that debt to work for you. But I think first you have to create that discipline within your money management. But I would definitely say you have to find a way for that money to get flipped. Sitting in a bank account does you no good.
Ho. Wait a minute. You're telling me that there's something that debt is good for?
Absolutely.
Talk to me.
Yes. So when we talk about, one of the things growing up that folks are so scared of are credit cards, right? They're like, do not get a credit card. If you get a credit card, you put it in your wallet and you save it and you don't do anything with it in case of emergency. I say, you are going to buy gas anyway, right? Use your credit card, in which you're getting either cash back or you're getting points, and then you pay off that card every month. So now, not only did you pay for the gas you were going to buy anyway, but now you've collected these points to pay for your next trip, or you've gotten cash back on top of the money you would have spent anyway, that you can now use to go towards something else. And I mean, folks are so scared to borrow the money. If you have the discipline to pay it back, then you will be fine. The rich use debt all the time. How do they avoid taxes? They use their debt. That's how. I mean, we shouldn't be scared to ask the bank to borrow money in order to invest in our business if we believe in what we're going to do. And so you will have the funds to pay that money back, but you need it to get it off the ground. Black people and women are so afraid to ask for money. And it's like, we have this mindset where it's just like, you don't want to be in debt to anyone. Be in debt if that means that you're doing it strategically.
I love it.
So I do want to spend some more time on thinking about, because this is a very important concept,
Yes.
right? And the richest people in the world, like you said, are really living their day-to-day life potentially on like a revolving line of credit, right? And paying for their expenses like that. So talk to us a little bit about how, like, what does it mean that there are ways to kind of avoid taxes? How are rich people avoiding taxes by using debt?
I mean, they're taking their debt and they're saying that, okay, I didn't actually make any money here, right? Like I used this, I took a loan out, I refinanced that loan and got my rates lower. And this is all going towards some type of business or LLC. And then they're able to avoid paying certain taxes because they're putting their cars in their homes under a trust or under their business. And so now these are business items versus just their personal items. Most rich people don't have anything that's under their own personal names. Most of their stuff is under their trust or is under their business. And so when you start to shift your mindset, you're seeing where there are these opportunities. I've seen it for myself. I bought my first investment property last year. I've started LLCs with my family, and I'm saying, okay, no, we just went out to dinner and we talked about the business and we have notes. This is a write-off. I'm going to I'm working on getting my CFP and taking courses. That's a write-off because I'm increasing my education. So there are, I think as you mature in your financial journey, you start to shift your mindset on what is considered debt, what's considered business expenses, and you're able to write off things that are helping you to evolve as an individual and as a business owner.
I love that answer, Rukiya, and I want to continue to kind of like drill in this point.
Yeah.
So I'm a business owner, maybe even a high income earner, right? And so I'm taking my business's money and that money is staying with that business, right? Or the income that I'm making is going to that business, right? So from there, right, I'm able to write off, okay, this is an expense. These are expenses to my business, even from a personal standpoint. Like I'm not like the money's going there. Now I'm using this business and I'm developing that as an asset, right? Or I'm buying assets with that business. And then I'm going to a bank or some other lending institution. And I'm saying, hey, I have this much in assets. So can you give me a line of credit? Can you give me some debt so that I can use that to start paying for my daily expenses and things in my life? So now I'm able to, and then also potentially buy more assets for my business, really is what I could really be doing with that money. So you're never really coming out of pocket to really like buy the things and enjoy the life that you need. And instead, you're able to fund your business, grow your business, and continue to kind of have this self-fulfilling cycle of growth based off of the fact that you have an asset that is just becoming a money fountain for you because you're now using that to get debt and to take loans. So
I do want to ask a question about that too. That makes so much sense. And it leads me to this, right? It's a two-parter in terms of what is the percentage of Americans who pay taxes actually take advantage of this on like their businesses? And if this is so easy to be done, is there a limit or ever a limit to how many companies can do this?
There's not a limit now. I don't know the exact numbers, but there isn't a limit on if you can do this, right? If you have an LLC and you have a cell phone and you live in an apartment, there are percentages of your apartment and your cell phone and your internet and your power bill that can be written off as a business expense. I think it's really, man, right now there's just so many resources out there, right? There is so much information that's available for us to access to understand how to continue to grow our wealth and how to manage our relationship with the IRS and our state taxes. I mean, it's just, this is how the rich keep and stay rich. And I mean that they learn the tax codes, they learn the tax laws, and they figure out how to make it work for them. And we just have to find the resources and make it work for us too.
I love it. I love it. And speaking on that, right, one of the biggest problems that we want to address here with this podcast is that there are informational gaps,
Yeah.
right? And so for people who don't know about tax laws or how to leverage debt and a lot of these concepts we're talking about, how to even just learn how to get in the right mindset for money, what are the different resources that you would recommend to someone who wants to learn more about all of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to business, when I first started my businesses, I set up an account with NAV. NAV helped me to navigate business credit, understanding how to get business credit, certain accounts that I could set up to begin building so that I could then pull that credit and be able to get lines of credit if I needed it. And really a lot of free sites, Credit Karma, NerdWallet, Bankrate. If you go to your local bank or credit union and you want to talk to them about your financial health and wellness, they will sit down and talk to you about it. It's just you reaching out. I think for a lot of us, it's being afraid to ask questions and asking for help. And it's so important that we get out of that mindset, because how can you access the information if you don't ask? So I would say, there's a lot, there's many resources, and I can send some links if that's helpful too.
Super quick, I want to,
Yeah.
Just because we had a guest on the podcast who went through a bankruptcy. And it was so interesting because he was talking about how, he didn't want or feel like it made sense to reach out to anyone about that, right? Because there's a lot of shame in that. And obviously, who do you go to when you're in such a position? How are they going to take it? Things like that. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of like double down on like how sometimes we get in this mindset where it's hard for us to reach out because we're ashamed even of what we're asking about. And it's something that can be super damaging. Yep.
Yeah, and that's your relationship with money, right? Like you see it as something that's shameful when it's really, that's how they keep us within this lower middle class, because we're scared to ask. There's so much pride around how you're managing your money, but no one really taught you. And so I think we have to remove that shame. We have to forgive ourselves for when we fell short and forgive ourselves for not knowing what we didn't know at the time.
I love that you said that, because honestly, I am a first generation American, right? And my family's half of my family's from Trinidad, my other half is from Puerto Rico, but I'm only first generation from my father's side. And when I speak to him about money and just the concept of working, sometimes he tells me all the time, the number one thing that I see is pride getting in the way of you making money.
Yeah.
Right. Like knowing that you can make over 6 figures working in the sewer plant. People don't know that. You can you would stop your hustle just because of somebody's thought of you. And that's sometimes always the problem, as Keith was saying, with the mental. 85% of the time it's the mental that messes us up. The other 15, we could always do it. It's always the mental that stops us. I like that. I think Keith, you wanted to ask a question real quick?
Love it. Yeah. So just to zoom out a little bit, you have a very unique perspective where you're dealing with people really on the ground level. And I'm super curious and you're also working with one of the largest banks in the world. So tell us, like, where do you see technology today changing potentially people's relationship with money?
It's powerful, right? When you can see your credit score anytime you want to versus having to wait for that annual creditreport.com report. You can go onto these websites and actually see what your credit score is on a regular basis for free. And being able to see how it compares to others and how much utilization you have and what does that mean and what tips and steps can you take. Technology is definitely shifting how we look at money and our relationships with money, because it becomes more transparent. It's not like the secret box at the bank. We can actually see it on a regular basis. One of the things that I'm actually working with my brother and my mom on with their financial journey is check your bank account every single morning so that you can hold yourself accountable about what you're seeing and what's happening with your money on a day-to-day basis. Without technology, we wouldn't be able to see that, right? You would have to go to the bank. You would have to balance your checkbook to see on a daily basis. Now it's just an app. You click it open, bam, you can see what you're doing every single day. And so I think it's giving us the tools that we need to get into the financial stability that we desire for ourselves.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You're so on point there. I think then it brings up the question I had here, just in terms of an educational standpoint for you. You know what I mean? Like, how do you engage people in this topic? How do you make them see what you see? Because obviously, in their eyes, everything is so monstrous or boring to a certain extent. How do you get them there? How do you connect?
And so I view managing your money or the journey to financial wellness as any other like workout, right? Like when you want to get your body in shape, you listen to affirmations, you might meditate. As like I said, when I'm working with my parents and my brother, I'm like, okay, we're going to kick off this session with a meditation. We're going to do some affirmations. A lot of the deep-seated beliefs that we have with money is in our subconscious, right? When we talk about this fear that we have, it's rooted. We have to uproot that first. And so for me, it's helping people to realize that it's not that hard. Folks get so intimidated by the home buying process. It's not. It's tedious, but it's not hard. And I think it's all about our perception. And I'm a very optimistic person. So when I come in, I'm like, we can do this. Like whatever you desire to have, you can have it. Whatever you want, like, let's get it. And I think for me, it's just the fact that I come in with a belief in them that they can accomplish whatever they set out to have.
Thank you so much there. Keith, you ready for it?
It's time for the rapid round. So yeah, we're just gonna ask you a couple quick questions,
Okay.
and we want to just get your honest answers.
All
And
right.
so the first question, tell us, Rukiya, what education do you have, and what licensures maybe do you have that have helped you to get to where you are today?
Self-taught. When it comes to digital marketing, I taught myself. I started in 2010 and no one was doing anything really. And so I was on every website, every Google, wherever I could be to learn. I pretty much taught myself. And I am a lifelong learner. I do the field trips, I watch webinars, I read. And so I do have my bachelor's degree, so that is there. Yes, I do have that. However, I got as far as I did without it for a very long time. And so I will say, don't count yourself out. It doesn't, I mean, there's so much to learn out here. I am working on my CFP, as I mentioned, so that does require board and test approval. But there's so much that you can do with tech.
Let me stop you there before you reveal too much. What's your favorite book?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People and James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time. Those are my top 2.
Amazing. And then do you have a podcast that you listen to?
Oh, my favorite podcast. Oh my gosh. You got the first one that popped in my head has nothing to do with financial management.
That's totally cool. That's totally cool. That's what we want.
So I would say Cocktails is a good one, which is like a raunchy podcast. I do enjoy Earn Your Leisure and Black Renaissance. So
you can't forget cash rules.
Cash rules, of course. Right? How dare I? Right? Like, it's so disrespectful. Cash rules, of course.
Love it. Love it. And then with that said, please, we love this episode, by the way. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us, where can people reach you if they want to hear more and get involved with you in your local community? Oh
my goodness. So on Instagram _Rukiya K. So RUKIYAK. And then on LinkedIn, Rukiya, RUKIYA Kelly. and I'm located in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This was awesome.
No.
I think without further ado, let's close it off here. I think that this was a wonderful episode. It was brought to you by Cash Rules Podcast. Let's go ahead. Watch us anytime on YouTube, IG, Facebook. Link us up anytime. Rukiya put our information. We'll link her up on all our social media accounts. Keith,
we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
One.